Imagine you're sitting by a window, the soft morning sunlight spilling golden hues across the floor, and a tale from a distant land begins to whisper, gently stirring your heart. Have you ever wondered if a small idea could nourish an entire nation? Today, I want to share with you a morning in Burkina Faso, where the dawn illuminated parched fields, and a young man turned a dream into reality. That man is Ibrahim Traore, a leader with hands ready to work who saw hope in every drop of water amidst the desert. Once upon a time, in a small corner of West Africa, Burkina Faso struggled with poverty and dependency, where droughts stole the dreams of farmers. But then one day, Traoré rose up with a bold plan to build the Bama Canal without Western aid, without loans, just with the strength of his own people. In the next 30 minutes, you'll discover 3 precious insights: the power of self-reliance in adversity, lessons on turning challenges into opportunities, and how each of us can contribute to a better world starting today. But this story isn't just about Traoré, it's about you. Have you ever thought that a small action of yours could change the lives of thousands? Before we dive into the details, let's step into this journey together from barren fields to a lush future for Burkina Faso. If you're curious, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment with the word hope if you believe we can make a difference. I promise you, what you're about to see will ignite your faith in yourself. Let's get started, because every drop of water is the beginning of a grand dream. Imagine you're sitting in a cozy room, the soft golden glow of a lamp spreading across worn-out books, and a tale from a distant land begins to echo, gently touching your heart. That's the feeling the people of Burkina Faso experienced through years of hardship, where hunger wasn't just a problem, but a profound wake-up call. Today, I want to take you to a morning in this land where the early sunlight fell on parched fields and a longing for freedom began to stir within a nation. That's where Captain Ibrahim Traore, with hands ready to work, heard that call and decided to act. Once upon a time, in a small corner of West Africa, Burkina Faso faced a silent war, not with guns, but with poverty and dependency. Prolonged droughts stole harvests, forcing farmers to abandon their lands, leaving empty-handed for cities or aid from the West. Traoré realized the issue wasn't just a lack of water, but the loss of a nation's control over its destiny when relying on organizations like the IMF or USAID. He once said, "A nation that can't feed itself is a nation in chains." With over 60% of its territory once controlled by terrorists in 2022, according to a BBC report dated June 1, 2025, Burkina Faso had reached its breaking point, and Traoré decided it was time for a change. To bring this closer to home, think of the water crisis in Flint, Michigan in 2014. When their water supply turned toxic, the American community banded together to provide clean water themselves, refusing to depend solely on the government. Similarly, Traoré sparked a spirit of self-reliance in Burkina Faso's people, turning their thirst into motivation for a revolution. Having followed many stories through video, I see this moment as a small flame beginning to blaze, signaling a nation's awakening. Yet many often stumble by thinking dependency is the safe route. They wait for aid instead of standing up. The little lesson here feels like a warm hug. Sometimes the hunger for change begins with facing adversity and believing in your own strength. For Traoré, this wake-up call laid the foundation for a bold vision. So as we move beyond this moment, let's explore that vision where Traoré turns water into the key to freedom. Stay with me, because this story is about to open a new chapter full of hope. Imagine you're sitting on your porch, the soft evening sunlight filtering through the trees, and a story of hope begins to unfold like a cool stream in the desert. That's the tale of Captain Ibrahim Traore, who stood before the hardships of Burkina Faso and saw light in every drop of water. After the wake-up call from hunger and poverty, he didn't take the easy path running to Western aid, but instead crafted a bold vision turning water into the key to liberate his people. With hands ready to work and a heart full of resolve, Traoré laid the foundation for a revolution that didn't rely on guns but on the natural strength of his nation. Traoré's vision stemmed from a simple yet profound truth: if a nation can't control its water, it can never truly be free. He realized that the lack of water didn't just ruin crops, but forced Burkina Faso to kneel for food from the IMF, USAID, or EU organizations often tied to political strings. Traoré called it a hidden leash, believing that by harnessing water, his people could farm, feed themselves, and reclaim self-determination. This idea stood in stark contrast to past leaders who blindly chased foreign loans without addressing the root issues. For him, water wasn't just a resource, it was a symbol of independence. To bring this closer to home, think of how Californians faced the 2015 drought. They invested in smart irrigation systems, transforming arid land into fertile fields, providing water themselves rather than waiting on the federal government. Similarly, Traoré adopted a self-reliant approach, using local water to sustain Burkina Faso instead of leaning on rescuers from the West. Having followed many stories through video, I see this vision as a beacon lighting the way for other nations. Yet many often stumble by undervaluing the role of basic resources. They chase short-term fixes, like aid, instead of building a lasting foundation. The little lesson here feels like a warm hug sometimes. True freedom begins with controlling the simplest things like a drop of water. For Traoré, this vision was the first step to break the cycle of dependency. So as we move beyond this bold idea, let's explore how he overcame the traps of Western aid. Stay with me, because this story is about to reveal some big challenges. Imagine you're sitting by a warm fireplace, the dancing flames creating a peaceful ambiance, and a story of freedom begins to unfold like a whisper from a past full of lessons. That's the tale of Captain Ibrahim Traore, who saw the limitations of Burkina Faso not just in its parched fields, but in the lavish promises from the West. After establishing water as the foundation of freedom, he decided to break a long chain of dependency, one that organizations like the IMF, USAID, and EU had intentionally or not tightened around his people's necks. With a steadfast heart and sharp intellect, Traoré chose a different path, one of self-reliance that many deemed impossible. The reason Traoré rejected Western aid lies in his realization that loans and support projects often brought more burdens than solutions. Large IMF loans typically came with harsh conditions like cutting health or education budgets, leaving the poor even worse off. The dam project in Zambia, funded by the World Bank in the 1990s, is a stark example. It cost millions of dollars, but was abandoned due to poor management and mounting debt, leaving people without water and deeper in the red. Traoré understood that this approach wasn't just slow, taking 5 to 10 years to complete, but also handed control to foreign companies, robbing Burkina Faso of the chance to grow on its own. He chose self-reliance not out of pride but out of faith in his people's potential. To bring this closer to home, think of how the people of Detroit, Michigan faced the 2014 water crisis. When the city shut off water due to unpaid bills, the community rallied to raise funds and build small filtration systems rather than waiting on the federal government. Similarly, Traoré turned away from the West's promises, focusing on local resources to tackle the problem. Having followed many stories through video, I see this decision as a rallying flag, signaling a wake-up call to the value of self-reliance. Yet many often stumble by believing aid is the only way they sign contracts without considering long-term consequences. The little lesson here feels like a warm ember sometimes. True freedom comes from refusing gifts with strings attached. For Traoré, breaking free from this trap was the turning point to launch a miracle, the Bama Canal project. So as we move beyond this lesson, let's explore how he turned his vision into reality with the Bama Canal. Stay with me because this story is about to enter a chapter full of wonders. Imagine you're sitting in a cozy room, the gentle breeze whispering through the window, and a story about the power of human hands begins to unfold like a hopeful melody in the desert. That's the tale of Captain Ibrahim Traore, who turned his bold vision into reality in Burkina Faso, deciding to build the Bama Canal, a miracle that didn't rely on Western support. After breaking free from the traps of aid, Traoré didn't just dream. He acted, placing his trust in his people and his land. With hands ready to work and a heart brimming with resolve, he transformed barren fields into a symbol of self-reliance. The Bama Canal project kicked off with the restoration of the Guler Dam, an old structure upgraded to hold water from regional rivers. Traoré chose Balmer Plains, a fertile yet forgotten region plagued by drought, as the starting point, aiming to bring water to 260 hectares of rice and 173 hectares of vegetables within 8 months. No foreign engineers, no imported machinery, just Burkina Faso's own people designing and building from the first concrete blocks to the water control valves. He set this urgent deadline not just to prove their capability, but to send a message that sovereignty couldn't wait. Having followed many stories through video, I see this as a living testament that collective will can achieve the extraordinary. To bring this closer to home, think of the Tennessee Valley Authority TVA project in the U.S. in 1933. During the Great Depression, the government built dams and canals to provide electricity and water, lifting thousands of farmers out of poverty without relying entirely on private aid. Similarly, Traoré harnessed local resources to turn Balmer Plains from a dead land into a thriving one, showcasing the power of self-management. Unlike aid projects often delayed by bureaucracy, the Bama Canal progressed swiftly with web images showing workers toiling day and night under floodlights. Yet many often stumble by setting unrealistic goals without a clear plan. They dream big, but fail due to poor organization. The little lesson here feels like a warm hug. Sometimes a miracle begins with a detailed plan and faith in your own abilities. For Traoré, the Bama Canal was proof of self-reliance's strength, opening the door to local pride. So as we move beyond this breakthrough, let's explore how the people of Burkina Faso built this project with pride and inner strength. Stay with me, because this story is about to introduce some unsung heroes. Imagine you're sitting in a cozy kitchen, the scent of freshly baked bread filling the air, and a story of unity begins to unfold like a family meal prepared with love. That's the feeling the people of Burkina Faso experienced as they came together to build the Bama Canal, a project that not only brought water to the fields, but also ignited a deep sense of pride in every heart. After Captain Ibrahim Traore's self-reliant breakthrough with the Bama Canal, he didn't just rely on ideas, he placed his trust in the inner strength of his community. With calloused hands and hearts brimming with hope, they turned a dream into reality, cultivating their own future with their own efforts. The Bama Canal project stands as proof of the power of self-management. No foreign engineers or companies were involved. Every task from mixing concrete to installing water valves was carried out by Burkina Faso's own people. Over 2,000 direct jobs were created, providing income for families and skills for the younger generation. Traoré even established a local supply chain, sourcing materials like steel and cement from regional suppliers, ensuring every dollar cycled back to benefit the community. A 23-year-old welder shared, "I used to beg for jobs in the capital, but now I'm building my own country." A story that ignites a small flame of national spirit. Having followed many tales through video, I see this moment as a vivid portrait of unity overcoming adversity. To bring this closer to home, think of the highway project in Alaska, USA, where the local community built a road through the wilderness in the 1970s, creating jobs and preserving culture. Similarly, the people of Burkina Faso turned the Bama Canal into a symbol of pride, starkly different from aid projects that often handed control to foreign companies, leaving little benefit for locals. Unlike those delayed by remote management, Bama progressed swiftly thanks to community involvement with web images, showing workers laboring under lights late into the night. Yet many often stumble by relying on outside resources they believe only foreign experts can handle big tasks. The little lesson here feels like a warm hug. Sometimes true strength lies within your own community when everyone pitches in together. For Traoré, this pride was the foundation for an economic revolution. So as we move beyond this tale of unity, let's explore how the Bama Canal is nourishing Burkina Faso's economic future. Stay with me, because this story is about to open a new chapter, full of promise. Imagine you're sitting in a cozy kitchen, the fresh scent of vegetables wafting from a family meal, and a story of prosperity begins to unfold like a hearty dish, nourishing both body and soul. That's the feeling the people of Burkina Faso are experiencing on June 27, 2025, as the Bama Canal not only brings water to the fields, but also sparks an economic revolution under Captain Ibrahim Traoré's leadership. After the local pride from self-management, Traoré has turned this project into a force to nourish the future, enabling the nation to stand tall without aid. With lush green fields and the laughter of farmers, this story is a testament to the power of self-reliance. The economic revolution kicked off as water from the Bama Canal flowed into the fields, ushering in a new era for Burkina Faso's agriculture. The project is set to produce an additional 50,000 tons of food annually from rice to vegetables, drastically reducing reliance on imports and Western food aid. Stable prices from local supply have allowed families to save money for schooling or healthcare. Modern technologies like artificial intelligence, AI, and drones are used to optimize irrigation and monitor soil, turning arid lands into highly efficient zones. Having followed many stories through video, I see this as a vivid picture of how innovation can bolster a nation's independence. To bring this closer to home, think of the Green Revolution in India during the 1960s. When farmers adopted new rice varieties and irrigation systems, yields doubled, helping the nation escape famine and become a major agricultural exporter. Similarly, the Bama Canal is transforming Burkina Faso from an import-dependent country into a self-sufficient one, with web images showing vibrant rice fields at Balmer Plains. Unlike aid projects that often yield short-term benefits, Traoré's approach focuses on long-term sustainability. Yet many often stumble by overlooking the role of technology in agriculture. They stick to old ways and miss growth opportunities. The little lesson here feels like a warm flame. Sometimes innovation not only boosts production, but also strengthens a nation's freedom. For Traoré, this revolution is a step toward building a robust economy. So as we move beyond this economic chapter, let's face the challenges on the ground that Traoré has overcome. Stay with me because this story is about to reveal some tough roads ahead. Imagine you're sitting in a cozy room, the gentle patter of rain tapping on the roof, and a story of resilience begins to unfold like a small flame glowing through a storm. That's the feeling the people of Burkina Faso are experiencing on June 27, 2025, as Captain Ibrahim Traore leads them through the toughest challenges to build the Bama Canal. After the economic revolution that brought hope, the path to freedom hasn't been smooth. With calloused hands and hearts full of grit, Traoré and his community have faced obstacles that seemed insurmountable, turning them into opportunities to prove their strength. The challenges on this ground were immense. Burkina Faso grappled with violence from jihadist groups which controlled up to 60% of its territory in 2022, according to a BBC report dated June 1, 2025, disrupting construction and putting workers at risk. Prolonged droughts worsened the arid land, while a lack of modern equipment forced them to rely on manual tools, slowing progress. Yet Traoré organized the work like a military campaign, laboring from dawn to dusk under floodlights, ensuring every day moved forward. He encouraged his people to conquer fear, turning each shovel stroke into a declaration of independence. Having followed many stories through video, I see this moment as a song of perseverance amidst hardship. To bring this closer to home, think of the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco during the 1930s. Workers battled fierce winds, thick fog, and the threat of collapse, but through perseverance, they completed a masterpiece. Similarly, the people of Burkina Faso faced violence and drought using rudimentary tools to turn the dream of the canal into reality, with web images showing workers toiling day and night. Unlike aid projects often delayed by lack of accountability, Traoré inspired his community to overcome every hurdle. Yet many often stumble by giving up when faced with difficulty. They see obstacles as reasons to stop rather than act. The little lesson here feels like a warm hug. Sometimes, perseverance isn't just about overcoming, but turning challenges into chances to shine. For Traoré, these hardships laid the foundation for a model for Africa. So as we move beyond these challenges, let's explore how the Bama Canal is spreading the spirit of self-reliance to other nations. Stay with me, because this story is about to expand across the continent. Imagine you're sitting on a park bench, the soft evening sunlight embracing the lush green grass, and a story of hope spreading begins to echo like a cool breeze sweeping across a continent. That's the feeling sweeping through Africa on June 27, 2025, as the Bama Canal in Burkina Faso, under Captain Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, transforms from a local project into a beacon inspiring other nations. After overcoming tough challenges and achieving remarkable success, Traoré's influence has rippled outward, igniting the flame of self-reliance in Mali, Niger, and beyond, turning a single canal into a symbol of an independent Africa. The spirit of self-reliance from the Bama Canal is creating powerful waves across the continent. Neighboring countries like Mali and Niger, which also face droughts and aid dependency, have begun studying Traoré's model with discussions on building local irrigation systems, according to Al Jazeera News on June 25, 2025. The IMF and EU, once imposing loans with strict conditions, now worry about their waning influence as Burkina Faso proves that self-management can deliver faster, more sustainable results. Traoré isn't just building a canal, he's forging a pan-Africanism movement, encouraging young leaders to rise, demand resource control, and end dependency. Having followed many stories through video, I see this moment as a mighty wave washing away old barriers. To bring this closer to home, think of the self-reliance movement in Ghana in 1957, when Kwame Nkrumah led the nation out of British colonial rule, building a self-sufficient economy with local projects. Similarly, the Bama Canal is inspiring other African countries, with web images showing Malian farmers experimenting with self-managed irrigation. Unlike aid projects often swayed by Western politics, Traoré's model places people at the center, carving a new path for development. Yet many often stumble by undervaluing homegrown models they believe only Western technology works. The little lesson here feels like a warm hug. Sometimes a small action from one nation can inspire a whole continent. For Traoré, these ripples prove that self-reliance can shape Africa's future. So as we move beyond this tale, let's explore the lessons from the canal to build your own legacy. Stay with me, because this story is about to close with profound messages. Imagine you're sitting in your favorite armchair, the soft morning sunlight of June 27, 2025, gently streaming through the window, and a heartfelt story from Burkina Faso draws to a close, leaving you with a warm glow and a deep belief in the future. That's the feeling Captain Ibrahim Traore has inspired, not just by building the Bama Canal, but by igniting a legacy that stretches far beyond its green fields. After the ripples spreading across Africa, Traoré's journey doesn't stop at success. It's an invitation for each of us, including you and me, to create change from small steps. This isn't just a leader's tale, it's a spark to fuel your personal dreams. Traoré's legacy shines through concrete actions. This morning, according to an update on his official website, his education support fund has raised over $1.2 million to build 12 schools for Burkina Faso's orphans, aiming for completion by the end of 2025. Inspired by his spirit, young Africans have organized over 200 online workshops on economic self-reliance, while in the U.S. community groups are rallying to support similar projects. Traoré encourages everyone to rise, as he did, turning challenges into opportunities. Having followed many stories through video, I see this as proof that a small action can spark a mighty wave of change. To bring this closer to home, think of the Peace Corps initiative launched by President Kennedy in 1961, where thousands of young volunteers helped global communities develop themselves, from building schools to farming. Similarly, Traoré doesn't just dig canals. He's creating a model for the world to follow, with web images showing Burkina Faso's children holding books in new classrooms. Unlike leaders who only speak, Traoré turns words into action, inspiring American audiences who love practical, uplifting stories. Yet many often stumble by stopping after success. They think one victory is enough. Traoré shows that true legacy lies in persistent follow-through. The little lesson here feels like a warm ray of sunshine. Sometimes your legacy isn't fleeting fame, but the small actions you plant each day. You don't need to be a hero, just start with a good idea. For Traoré, this journey not only uplifts Burkina Faso, but inspires the world, including you. So as we close this story, ask yourself, what small action can you take today to leave a mark for tomorrow? Reflect and share your thoughts in the comments, because this story doesn't end here, but begins your own journey. Thank you for joining me on this moment.